Okay, so this meeting is now being recorded, so we can always send you the link after the session, so you can go all over again, or if you want to share it, that would be great as well. So, welcome to the second BI overview session number 1. This is a repetition of what we did yesterday in the morning. This WebEx is, let's say, framed within the GDP type of refresher training, like the kind of like the aftermath of the whole implementation of the Moja inventory management and property management that took place some months ago in September last year. So I'm joining my colleagues Leandro and Elena. Both of them, they delivered WebEx sessions on the requisitioning, product IDs, and then as well the SEO process. So we do have several reports in BI, which will be useful for you to understand sort of end-to-end process from the requisitioning to the invoice processing. Those reports have been developed by our colleagues in Valencia, the RDN team. And we believed, LSD believed that it was a good idea. You as a BI14 role, you as a basic user for in supply chain or source to acquire, will be good for you to get to know where the reports are and launch the report, consume the report, and see whether it will be useful for you while you are doing troubleshooting or specifically while you're raising shopping carts and you want to know exactly which let's see the status of requisitioning at some point, right? We do have problems with the product IDs and with selection of some materials, so we believe that these reports will be useful for you. Now, that will be the second session because today we will do an BI overview. Why? Because we found out as trainers that when we just go right away and talk about BI without even talking about roles, accessing, and the type of reports, people usually get lost. So you will have to forgive us or forgive myself if what I'm going to tell you in this session is kind of redundant or really simple to you. But we believe that a lot of users across DFS and some other entities do need a specific session on at least with an introduction on BI. So we are taking this opportunity to do an overview on BI, and then next week we will deliver the sessions with the reports. So having said that, I'm going to share the whole presentation, and please note that any question you can use your chat. I will be monitoring the chat as well, or you can just ask aloud using the microphone. So let me put this in presentation, right? So just for you to have an overview of the plan. So yesterday we delivered the BI introduction. That was yesterday on 14th of March. We did have a lot of people joining, around 150 people around from all over. And today, what we're doing is, oh, no, sorry for that. I don't know what happened. All right. Today, we are delivering again the repetition of the BI introduction, right? This is today's session. Next week, on Thursday, 22nd at 10 a.m. Valencia time, we'll deliver the session on the reports themselves, the reports that have been developed and are located in the share analysis folder. So we will do that session on next Thursday, and we will repeat the session the following day on Friday, 23rd. So that's the plan for next week, and I don't know why. Okay, let me check. Mute some view. Please, I will appreciate if you can mute yourself. If you don't have any question, that really helps the whole session. Okay. So that's the plan for today. A bit of an introduction on BI. Well, most of you know already that BI, business intelligence, and specifically for Moja, it's a platform, let's say, only devoted for reporting. So we know that for sure. The reports that we're going to launch cannot modify whatsoever any data in production, right? So it's kind of like a read-only, view-only type of access. So whatever you do with the reports, whatever modifications you do in any type of report, it will not change in the back end any type of master data element, any document number. So we are working directly in production. And there is no training environment for the moment. So we will, whenever you are logging in BI, it will be in production. So you will be having access directly to production data. Although you will see afterwards that the data that is located in BI, sorry, let me, sorry, can you mute yourself, please? All right, perfect. So the data that is stored in BI, it's in production, and there is no training environment. So sometimes that's a kind of like limitation in terms of training, because sometimes we do need some sort of cubes of data that will be useful for us to deliver the trainings, right? Instead of going into production directly. But let's say the platform itself, in terms of reports, it's really getting big, and it's been developed now with reports in the former GDP, in Galileo, the former Galileo decommissioning project. So we are having more and more reports now available for us. So BI in general terms is a way, it's a tool that we're going to use in order to it says here, it says improve the future, but it says do some analysis of what has been going on in the past so we can forecast and we can create KPIs so we understand what's going on in our unit or in our entity, right? Depending on the data set that we are identifying. But it's a tool that will help us to analyze what's going on, right? In terms of money spent, budget consumed, expenditures, how much money we are spending in certain projects, in certain products, in certain categories, how many shopping carts are being saved, approved, how much time do I dedicate in order to approve a shopping cart, and how long does it take from the creation to the approval of a shopping cart, stuff like that. But we will use a large amount of data. The idea is not to use one or two documents, but it is a large amount of the data. So in principle, BI, Moja BI is fitted and designed in order to manage large amount of data from different modules. So in terms of scheduling data, well, that's the ETL, the extraction, transformation, and loading of data into BI takes place every day, and it takes around 6 hours. What we mean with this is that the BI data that is stored, as I said previously, it's in production. It's not live data. It's a data dump that it's done previously. So the data that we are seeing in any type of report in BI, it's from, let's say, yesterday. It has, let's say, 24 hours delay. So in this slide, what we can see is that the processing time is 6 hours, Brindisi or Valencia time, Central European time, from 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. The system, let's say, refreshes and creates all the ETL processes, and around 8 a.m. every day, the data is available for us and updated for us in order to use the reports. So let's say that we create a document today and we create an invoice today using Mir 7 in ECC today at 6 p.m. That document number or that invoice will be available in BI reporting only tomorrow at 8 a.m. onwards. Right, so we have to live with that, and it makes sense that if we do want to do transactional reporting using ECC or SRM, we do want updated information. We do want live information because we are taking decisions on a daily basis on transactions. At BI, we can live with data that is has 24-hour delay. For us, it's not a problem because we are going to analyze tendencies. We're going to create KPIs. We want to understand in a high level what's going on. So we can live without having the most available data in this element. So that's the difference between transactional reporting and business intelligence reporting. So as I said before, we do have two modules in Umoja, let's say the ECC platform and the portal, which contains SRM and ESS, but we are talking about SRM basically. SRM, ECC are transactional modules in terms of reporting, whereas Umoja BI is solely a module devoted only for reporting. More interesting things, probably you know already, but for the ones of you who are not really familiar with the tool, you have to understand that when we are doing transactions in ECC and SRM, when we're creating invoices, work funds commitments, or travel requests, shopping carts or POs, we are, let's say, doing transactions with high volume of data and live data. But it is specific to each area. So we have T codes for finance, for supply chain, funds management, travel, inventory, right? All those T codes are transactions that we are doing, but they are, let's say, segregated within different models of data in the system. Right? So that's what we are saying when these areas of data are specific to each area. Then if we merge, let's say, data from ECC and SRM, let's say in a very simplistic way, if I merge the data coming from finance that I'm using ECC in order to get that data, and then I have data from shopping carts that comes from SRM, I can see both type of data within one system, which is BI. So BI is going to merge all what we say here specific to each area. Okay, BI, it will not be specific to each area. The data, the cubes that they create and the new universes of data may contain data from these two different systems, from ECC and from SRM. That's why sometimes what happens, you want to see a shopping cart directly in ECC, and you only have the, let's say when you go to an E23N and you see the shopping cart number, you cannot go directly and see the specifics of the shopping cart. You have to change module and go on to, or let's say component, we go to SRM in order to see and analyze that shopping cart. So in BI, we have information from both systems. That's, let's say, the beauty of it. Then we create reports in BI. These reports are very visual, and as I said before, we can create really nice reports with interesting views of data. And who can access to these reports? Obviously, staff members from the UN, but many of these reports and the information are going to be, let's say, analyzed or used by different stakeholders, like member states or General Assembly, executive management, and obviously internal to UN. So stakeholders, internal and external, and auditors as well. So a bit of the difference between the transactional reporting, which is ECC and SRM, and Umoja BI. So in terms of availability of data, in ECC and SRM, as I said before, is real-time reporting. Data is available immediately after it's entered in ECC, right? So when I create an invoice and it's approved, automatically I'm going to see in a list, if I run a T code, where I can see all the list of invoices, that document number, that invoice starting with 51 will appear in the report immediately. This data is going to reflect current values in Umoja and is going to be updated on a regular basis. What happens in BI? As I said before, data is refreshed every 24 hours, and there is no real-time availability of data. That's the main difference between the two components, right? BI and then transactional. In terms of analytical capabilities, well, we can do things in ECC and SRM, and when we do the reporting academies and even the LPE academies, we do create reports with T codes using ECC and SRM. Real interesting, and you can do plenty of things, right? The analytical capabilities do not stop, let me put it this way, you are not being more analytic if you're using BI. I mean, it's just depending on the user and which is the component that you want to use, either transactional or BI. So using ECC is really interesting for certain aspects of the analysis, but sometimes you have to move to BI if you want to do more advanced analysis, right? So ECC, it helps you in a way, and BI, it helps you in another way, right? We are not giving It's like when you want to, let's say, build a small house, right? You need several tools. You cannot use you cannot only use a hammer, right? Using BI for everything. You may use sometimes a screwdriver, sometimes a hammer, sometimes you have to use a certain other tool. So the combination of these tools will give you the overview and the image of, let's say, the construction, which is the house, or in this case, the reality that you want to analyze. So it is not real that if you're using BI, you're more advanced analysis user. It's only you're using a different tool. Okay. So in terms of video customization, we can customize. Well, it's a bit limited, but we can customize some ECC reporting in SRM. Obviously, we can insert calculations, we can insert subtotals, we can change the layout, we can use dynamic selections and enrich our initial query. We can run the report in the background. We can even create graphs. But those functions are more available if we are using BI. Okay, so we can really create reports and layouts much more advanced and complex while we are using BI. So constraints in transactional reporting, which is ECC and SRM, it's, as we said before, it's specific to a purpose of area, and it's data coming from only one system. More things. Constraints for BI, data is not live, it is a daily load, and we do not have full details at transaction level, and that's important. It's important in a way when you see a list of, let's say, documents in a particular BI report, you cannot double click and see which is the document created in the transactional system in ECC on SRM, right? You cannot drill down, you cannot go deep and see which is the document and the view of the document in the system itself. So that's a limitation. Let me check whether we have any questions. I see some people who cannot hear, specifically from Geneva. They're saying, well, we test a couple of times and it's okay. Please tell me if you guys are experiencing any problem, but I see that most of you are, hearing well and following okay. Okay, Gloria, perfectly. I know. I mean, depending on the bandwidth sometimes and your connection. That's why we really are keen to record the sessions now, and then we will send you the sessions in a link, so you can go all over again. Calmed when you have more time, or when you can just allocate and block some time for a session and do the exercise. So the idea is to move forward more to e-learning platforms, and these e-learning platforms will include some self-paced learning as well. But that's another story, and that's something that we will improve this year. But so let me go back to the components of Umoja, what we said before in terms of BI reporting landscape. Now we're going to focus on the reports that we can see in BI. Okay, there are three types of reports. First one, what we call the formatted reports or web intelligence reports, WebEx reports. These reports are very, let's say, static. These are the reports to be consumed. So you consume the information. You do not customize so much. These reports are already pre-validated. You see that there is here a even logo. So sometimes, especially for funds management, for budget purposes, so you just launch the report, you print it, and you can give it to an auditor. That is official information coming from the UN. So these are pre-validated reports, especially the ones related for funds management or budget. So formatted reports will give you a summarized reporting data in an already pre-formatted presentation, right? You can export to Excel, you can export to PDF, and you can do plenty of other things, whether if you have the access to design your own web intelligence reports, but that's another story. In general terms, only basic users or the basic users are the ones consuming these reports. So first one's formatted reports. Second one is an ad hoc reporting or an analysis workspace. Okay, these reports, they don't look like the first one with the other one. They do not alike at all, because this is let's say a platform a platform where you can just play around with the data. It's some sort of like a pivot table that you do in Excel. You are inputting and filtering out information data, attributes, categories of data, and then those actions will have a reflection in your analysis, so this data will change. So depending on the interaction and the different actions that you're doing with the attributes, dragging and dropping, or using one or the other, you will see how the data is being transformed or modified. And then this data or the analysis will give you ideas, tips, guidelines of what's going on, right? So you will do the analysis based on your dragging and dropping and your filtering within the different functionalities that you can have here. But then the reflection of those actions will be seen here in the attributes and the key figures. So this ad hoc reporting has a more multidimensional analysis, and you will see a granular view of the data set. So this type of one in the analysis workspace, this one, you do not see any your logo. Okay, this is just a way for you, a tool to create the report, to play around with the information and see and analyze. And then the third one are the dashboards. So let's say that's one of the last steps. Once you have information and you can create the reports, you can, let's say, put the information in a very visual way, in a graphical way, that someone who doesn't have a lot of time to do an analysis or a report can have a snapshot of the situation and reality in, let's say, one picture, which is this one, a dashboard. Okay, it's a data visualization tool, and it's at a glance view. So in one snapshot, you see, let's say, how your mission is doing. Let's say you have in the left panel your budget consumption. Down there, you may have open items for finance. On the right panel, you may have information about your contracts, e.g., the ones are about to expire, contracts that are already outdated, a number of shopping carts raised, approved, stuff like that, in one snapshot, right? So that's the ultimate, I would say, the ultimate stage of BI, which will be to visualize the data coming from this type of reports. So do you have any questions so far before we move to another, let's say, chapter? Let me see. Some of you, yes, exactly. Thank you, Andrea. Some of you can hear, some of you cannot. I think it's related only to the connection. And let me write to some of you that are asking through the chat. All right. Okay. Thank you, guys. So let me jump into the part of BI user access, and let me just get out of the presentation because I was just drafting some ideas before. Segregation of access in Umoja BI basically consists on your type of user and access to data. So a mixture of these two will give you your access to Umoja BI. So you have to ask yourself a question: which reports I want to run? Okay, and then let me go back to the presentation and I go, do I want to basically run formatted reports? Do I want to run ad hoc and formatted reports? Do I want to only run the dashboards and the rest? So you have to ask yourself, or your unit, or the way the strategy in terms of reporting of your mission is developed. But you do have to ask yourself, which is the type of reports I want to run in BI. And then you may want to run only one, two, or three: formatted, analysis workspaces, or the dashboard. And after that, you will have to ask yourself which data I want to see, because the access of data will not depend on your type of user. And we will see that in a minute. Okay, so The segregation, this is a combination of two variables. The first one, your type of user, and second one, the access to data. And you'll see this very, I think, well explained. Is very visualized in the following slides. So, how many roles do we have in BI? Different roles. We have a power user, analytical user, or basic user. Okay, and the access of data might be based on your functional area, refinement, procurement, or other. So let's say, be a regular user. That's the first type of user. Okay, he or she will have a standard level of access. So he or she will be consuming the web intelligence reports, and will be someone who can run the report, can print the report, can schedule the report, can export to Excel, and he or she will be able to even save those reports under their favorites. No problem. So be a regular user will have access to web intelligence reports, okay, formatted reports, view web reports. Analytical user, second level of access, one step up. The person, it says here is a data analyst, but it's a staff member who can use the web intelligence reports, but as well can create the ad hoc reports, the second report, the pivot tables. So this person will be able to run two types of reports. The third one, the power user. He or she will be able to run any type of report, formatted report, or analysis workspace, but then on top of that, he or she will be able to share those reports in the shared analysis area. So that's the main difference between BI power user and analytical user, right? So you can have access and run different type of reports as this guy can, but the only difference between the two is that you can share your findings in terms of reports with other BI users, and we will tell you how to do that. So that's in terms of roles, okay? So in terms of, let's say, let's do some sort of game now to understand altogether whether this segregation in terms of type of roles now makes sense. So let's say I'm a basic BI user, okay? Can I run formatted reports, the web intelligence reports? Yes or no? We can. Yes, I'm a basic user. I can run these type of reports. I can consume the data, the ones with the email logo. I can do that. I can save or delete copies to my favorites. Of course, any type of report, I can always put it in my own folder, right? I'm not saying in the share folder. I'm saying in your own folder. Okay. Can I create ad hoc analysis reports? No. Remember that this person can only run the formatted reports. Can he or she share copies with others? No, because this guy is not a power user, right? So we have answered to the first 4 questions. What about the analytical BI user? Okay, this person, the analytical, will be able to run formatted reports, no problem. He or she will be able to delete or save any type of report to his or her own folder. This person will be able to, of course, create ad hoc analysis reports, but he or she cannot share the copies with others. And then power user, this person can do pretty much everything. Can save their copies under their favorites, can create or run any type of report, and he or she will be able to share copies with others in the shared analysis folder. Okay. So that's in terms of what I said, type of user. Which reports I want to run, which type of user I am. Basic, analytical, or power user. So that's, we are, let's say, answering first question, let's say. Basic, analytical, or power user, 3 of them. Okay, and then we will talk about the access to data. Which data I want to see? Okay, so I have here 3 sets of roles. The first one, basic user roles. Second one, analytical user roles. And third one, power user roles. Let's forget about the dashboard roles here for a minute. So you see, basic user access will give you access, let's say, to formatted reports. But what did we say before? Which data would you want to see? So depending on the data you want to see, you will have different codes. So if I am BI 13, I will have access to real estate. RE stands for real estate. If I have BI54 role, you have access to service delivery, always as a basic user. And the same with travel, accounts payable, accounts receivable, fixed assets, funds management, general ledger, funds management, HR, project management, the supply chain, treasury, and so on and so forth. I here underline, which is I put in a box the BA14, which is the role that we have access to the reports that we will see next week. But this is as a basic user. The same will happen with analytical user roles. So if I want to be an analytical user, I will have to request these type of codes, roles in Umoja, but for different folders, for different types of data, real estate, service delivery, travel, etc., etc. So if you want to be an analytical user for all the different folders in Umoja BI, you will have to request all these roles, page 22, 55, 35, 24, 25, and so on. The same applies as a Power User. Power User will give you access to all type of reports, and then you will be able to share those reports with others. But you will have to ask for certain types of data. So you are not giving one type of role for all type of data. You are giving one type of role, and then you have to identify which is the type of data you want to see. I hope this is clear, because sometimes it creates a lot of confusion. And to be frank with you, I would prefer to be basic user or analytical user or power user, and they will have access to everything. With certain type of access, like restriction, like HR, payroll, of course, and some other very sensitive data. But for the rest, and as I said before, as you cannot break anything in BI, as this is only a read only or view only access. Basically, the point of segregating so much your access sometimes, creates confusion and creates a lot of frustration sometimes. So this is, let's say, your map of different BI codes, and you can find them in there in ISIC. So user credentials, just for information, as I said before, you have a set of folders in BI, and within each folder you have different reports. All right, so for each of those folders, you will have different type of BI access, right? So let me just go through, let's say, the one on source to acquire. So let's see that we are interested in having access to supply chain or procurement type of data. So if you follow the red line here, you will have three type of roles. If you want to be only basic user, you request BI14. If you want to be analytical user, you request BI28. If you want to be power user, you request BI04. I put here in bold and red BI14 because this is the type of access that will grant you, let's say, view of the reports that we will see next week. But the same will apply for HR, for organizational management, for GL accounting, for fixed assets, and so on and so forth. So here you have a kind of like a visualization of the segregation of access by folders in BI. Do you have any question? I hope we don't have any problems with the audio. Sometimes, yeah, I see people saying that no problem, that they can hear well. Thank you. All right. Alma has raised a hand. Alma, do you have any question? No? Okay, feel free to pose the question over the chat or with using your microphone. Okay, so now let's do some sort of game so we understand how this segregation of access works. Okay, so let's say I'm a BI basic user on source to acquire B14. So I'm a person who is coming to this WebEx, and probably next week I will come to the next WebEx for the BI14 type of reports. Okay. Let me go to the chat because some people are having problems. Let me tell that, yes, the video will be shared after the WebEx session. Okay, and we will have to convert to MP4, so that will take some time, but it will be available for you, don't worry. So let's say, let me get back to the to the, let's say, sort of game here, a recap game. BI user, basic user, some source to acquire. Can I save in the shared analysis folder? Can I save reports? No, because I'm not a power user. Okay, can I run formatted reports, Web Intelligence? Yes, I can. But can I run all formatted reports in BI? No, only the ones in source to acquire. You see, source to acquire, basic user, only run in source to acquire type of reports. Okay, analysis workspaces, I will not be having access. Then, let's say I'm an analytical user for source to acquire and fixed assets, okay, on two folders, two main folders. Okay, can I save in the shared analysis folder? No. Can I run formatted reports? Yes, I can, but only for source to acquire and fixed assets, remember. Can I run formatted analysis workspaces? Yes, but only the ones in source to acquire and fixed assets. So if I am an analytical user in BI for all folders and all type of data, even though I'm an analytical user, I will not be able to save in the shared analysis folder, but I can run formatted reports, analysis workspace with no restriction. You see, it's a check. No restriction because I have access to all folders. If I'm a power user, in this case, in funds management, all in funds management, yes, I will be able to save my reports in the shared folder. I will be able to run formatted reports, but only for FM, funds management. I will be able to run analysis workspaces, but again, only for FM. And the best scenario will be being power user for all folders, and then we have a green tick everywhere. And access to the shared folder will give you anytime. Let's see, you will have access to the shared folder being basic user, analytical user, or power user access. Here it's safe. Safe, different than access. You can have access, but you will not be able to save any type of reports under your analysis folder. That's why when next week we explain the reports that you can find in the shared folder, you as a BI core team will have access to the shared folder. So this is a bit of we don't want to go in deep on this, but basically if you want to request, now that you understand the segregation of access and how this works, then this is a basic flow chart on the model is that you want to basically request new role, not only in BI, but in Moja in general, right? You have to go to ISEEK, you have to understand which role you want to request, create the request through Moja using the portal, the SLO in your mission, and your entity will let's say, create the request. You will have to sign. Section chief will have to review. If it's needed a training, you will have to certify with the Inspira CBT or with the Inspira IoT training. Then the liaison officer as well will review and sign again. Functional approver in your mission will review and sign. If that is the case, then it will be sent to service desk. Service desk will create the role and notify tier 1 in the indice, and then eventually end user will receive notification with the role and will start using the role. So this is a bit of the high-level view on the flow chart. More things for you to understand where the information is stored, the official one. If you need a role, you can always go to ISEEK, and this is the URL, and then you will be accessing this page. And from there, you will be able to see, and let me see whether I have access. Yes. Okay. There you see Umoja BI User Provisioning Guide. If you click here, Umoja User Access Provisioning Workflow Guide, excuse me, Umoja BI User Provisioning Guide, here there is a hyperlink. You click there, and you'll see this PDF document. This PDF document is basically explaining what I'm explaining right now in another, let's say, way, a bit more succinct. But it gives you information on the, let's say, how is the control access. So you'll see each of the BI codes, what each of these, let's say, letters stands for. FI Finance, excuse me for that. I think someone took my presentation. Let me see. So, okay. All right. So, give you information on the code, how the code is designed, functional categories, etc. This is the BI roles broken down into different user roles: analytical, basic, and power user, etc. Okay. So this is the ISIC web page where you can find lots of information. And then after we understand, see, some people say that cannot see my screen anymore. That's a problem. Let me share in case that. Here we go. Okay, yeah, someone took my presenter role. Exactly. Sometimes you can do in WebEx, all right? And sometimes people do not realize that they just drag and drop the small icon in the WebEx and then they become the presenter, right? So you are losing my screen. So let me go back. After we understand how to the roles and the segregation of roles work, the type of reports, type of users, and where to find official documentation, then we're going to jump into the real scenario, which is the current web intelligence reports for the A14 that you can find in production. Okay, production. So let me go and see if I have access. I've to BI so you understand how this works. So I'm logging into BI with my own credentials. Yeah, some time. Permit use, permit all access. So I'm logging into production. So you see the difference of type of reports that you can find in production and in the share folder. So this is the Moja BI, and this is the list of folders that you can find on the left panel. Okay, so you're basically navigating as you do with Internet or with Microsoft Office in different folders. So you see source to acquire is here. If I click here on source to acquire, I'll see which type of reports I see. So here you can see a subfolder called historical reporting. You can see it here. If I drill down, historical reporting, same folder, and I have a series of 12 reports, 13 items counting the folder, a series of web intelligence reports. These are web intelligence reports. The other ones are analysis workspaces. Because I am a power user, or let's say analytical user, for this folder, I can have a view of the analysis workspaces as well as the web intelligence reports, right? So what I have here as a BA14, you can see BA14, you will be able to see only the web intelligence reports. These are the ones that we can find in production, in source to acquire. But the reports that we will show you next week are not stored in source to acquire, are in the shared analysis folder. So I'm clicking here in the shared analysis folder, and second folder called 01 DFSBA support. If I double click and I go to the third folder, source to acquire, there I can find plenty of different other type of web intelligence reports. Okay, next week we will see a couple of them for contracts. Let me go back. So next week we will see reports, web intelligence reports in contracts. Okay, that's important. in contracts. Okay, we will see reports based on NTE, the purchasing group. Okay, we will see reports with the expiration dates, with how many days up do we have left up until the contract expires, which is its NTE, and so on and so forth. Some of these webinar reports are working much better than the ones that you can find in production. Okay, the ones that you can see here in the other folder. Let me just minimize this one. It's yours to acquire. Okay, so you'll see a couple of them in contracts, and then if we go to the end-to-end and double click it here, we will see a lot of them, a lot of web intelligence reports. We will go through a couple of them for sure, and these ones have even job aids you see in PDF. You can find and get this information directly from the eye, right? So we will see 2, 3, 4, 5 reports. So you can see an end-to-end process from the shopping cart to the invoice process. So and these ones are really interesting, the ones that were developed by our colleagues in Valencia. So the information that you'll see in the report itself will pivot for the PO. So you have in the center information from the PO, and will go backwards to see which is the shopping cart number, and onwards to see which is the goods received of the invoice. And the same will happen with the other report, which is called end-to-end report based on shopping carts. So all the information will pivot for the from the shopping cart level. Then we have information on timeline for shopping carts and goods received. So we'll see, I mean, we will not have time to go through all the different reports. That's something that is important for you to go. I mean, you can start going now, you have access. But next week we'll give you, the feeling of how these reports work, which are the main different fields that you have to take into account when you're doing some troubleshooting and research on specific shopping carts with certain product IDs. And then you can see the end-to-end process, how this shopping cart has been transformed in a PO and subsequently transformed in a goods received and subsequently transformed into an invoice, let's say. So all that data will be in one single report in one line. But that will be next week, as I said. Let me go back to the presentation because otherwise it's too much. So here in the presentation, you can see what we have in production as a web intelligence report, source to acquire. Then in the share folder, if you go to the share analysis source to acquire, you'll see a series of reports starting from the contract and shopping carts. If you click here in the end-to-end folder, then you'll see even more web intelligence reports. All these ones, the ones that I just showed in production, where we can find the reports, the end-to-end reports that I was mentioning before, and all of them are web intelligence. You see, you don't see analysis workspaces there. So you as a BI14 user will have access to these reports as well. So the plan so we see what's the plan for next week. The first BI introduction WebEx was delivered yesterday, so that's done. This is the second one, the one that I'm repeating from yesterday. So this is done as well. Then next week, I think someone is taking my. Okay, so the third one will be next week on Thursday, 22nd of March. Okay, this is the link to the WebEx, and we will go to the share folder and we will analyze the different reports. We will repeat the session the following day on Friday, 23rd at 3 p.m. Again, we will go to the share folder and we will launch the different reports in production, right? So that's for next week. So is there any question before we finish? We have, well, I can start reading what I have here in the chat. Chia's question, it's telling me if the next session is only for supply chain users. Yes, it will be. It's only for supply chain users, because it's the I-14 role, right? Another session for funds management and grants management are not. It's not contemplated in the short run because we're starting a reporting academy in Valencia for all tracks, and it will be a back-to-back workshop 3 in a row. So we will, if it is need and LSD thinks that it's important, we of course are available, and of course we will try to fit your needs, but it's not contemplated to have the same type of sessions for FM and for other modules for the moment. Joella is asking whether there will be sessions for power users. Not for the moment, because we usually are, what we're doing is we want to increase the baseline of knowledge for all the Moja users in terms of BI. Why? Because we found out that in general terms we have to tackle this lack of knowledge and then increase it. And from there, we will jump into level 2, level 3 type of academies, only for power users or more advanced BI users. So let me check. Okay, more questions here. Hiran is no, Hiran, it's Papa Malik is asking, see all participants need to have access to web intelligence during the training in TV. I don't really understand training in TV. I guess that you are you're asking about the training, the module level 1 reporting academy that will take place in Ontario sometime in April. If that is so, yes, you need to have access as not only as a basic user, but as an analytical user. That's one of the requirements or prerequisites that we have sent from LSD. We have sent out in the official fax for invitation. So you need to have access as an analytical user for certain number of folders. Otherwise, there will be no possibility for you to perform any exercise in the system, and that will be a shame, really. Just for your information, we just delivered an academy, well, some sort of informal academy and workshop in KGSO, and these guys did an excellent job granting access to all students so everyone could take advantage of the exercises and the scenarios that we developed. It was only for finance. So yes, I can send you information in terms of workshops for FM and grants management. For sure, grants management will be on spot this year, because I think it's been 2 years since we delivered the last LPV grants, and there is an urgent need from a lot of missions in grants management. I know David and myself probably will be there. So sure, there will be some sort of academy, and for sure there will be some reporting involved within the sessions. But we will let you know in due time, right? So sorry, really, I'm so sorry if some of you could not hear well, but I'm sure that it's due to the bandwidth, your bandwidth, or some sort of connection problems or issues. Because I see that I see a lot of chats of people and feedback that everything is going on well in terms of sound and connection. So that's why we really want to encourage you guys to go through the recording, right? Once we make it available for you, please do use it, the recording, so you do not have any limitation or any dependency on the bandwidth of your connection or Wi-Fi, okay? So another question from Edward is whether we do have some detailed BI job aids on the website. Well, I don't think so. We do have some job aids in terms of, like the roles, the ones that I just shared to you, this one. Sorry. This annex PDF. Okay, we do have stuff like this. But in terms of job aids, what we have, it's PDFs for certain type of reports already stored in BI. But this is not official Moja documentation. This comes from the developers in the BI team here in Valencia. I can tell you that these job aids are really, really good. These guys do a great job on this. So although they are not official, you can always take it and make good use of it. So thank you for your comments, guys. We appreciate that you're taking your time to join the WebEx. I invite you to the next sessions. will take place next week, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Thank you very much again for your interest and your attendance. So any time we'll be here. My name is Daniel Criado, part of the WebEx training team. So happy to support you guys. Thank you.